I recently had an overseas holiday with the family. We went to Taiwan and Japan. So the first stop was Taipei in Taiwan, and the first morning after we arrived Taipei, I woke up very early. This happens pretty much every time when I go visit a Asia country. Because of the time difference, I usually wake up pretty early. I used this opportunity to do an early morning photo walk myself. I got a Panasonic Lumix S9 with the 18-40 compact zoom lens with me. I spent about an hour walk around the area that we stayed at. So I'm going to share with you the photos that I shot that morning and also share with you some of the behind the scenes stories. Some of the photos I really quite like, and some of the photos I thought they look quite nice when I shot the photos, but now I'm looking at it again on my computer screen and I think they look pretty average. So I'm going to roast myself a bit and tell you why I think those photos are not really that good. I know most people would like to only show you the photos that they think are good, but we all take good photos and bad photos. One thing that I strongly believe is you really need to know how to criticize yourself. If you can understand what are your weaknesses or see what are the mistakes that you make, then you can improve yourself. So the hotel that we stayed at is in the area called Ximending. It is one of the most popular and busy area in Taipei. During the day, there are usually a lot of people because there are a lot of shops, restaurants, and interesting places around the area. But in the early morning, like 5 o'clock, there are not really many people on the street. The hotel that we stayed in is quite a weird one. The hotel itself is almost brand new. It was just opened this year, but it is located in a very old building. So the lower floors of that buildings are some shops and restaurants, and it was actually quite hard to find the entrance to the hotel. So that morning when I went to the ground floor, because those are the shopping area, but because it's so early in the morning, all the shops were closed. So the whole floor was pretty dark. There are still a few lights there, so it's not like completely dark, but it's definitely quite interesting when you take the elevator from your hotel and go to the ground floor and you see the whole floor is pretty dark and empty. So here are some photos that I shot in the area. These photos I think are alright. They are kind of warm-up photos for me. And one thing I do quite like is the contrast in these photos. So this is a photo I shot at the exit of the hotel building. It was still quite dark, as you can see. I had a K&F black mist filter on the lens, so that adds a bit of glow effect around the highlight area, soften up the image a little bit. I quite like the effect. All the photos in this video were shot in the 65:24 aspect ratio, which is the aspect ratio that I really like. And after I exit the building, I saw this scene with 3 people, one on the left, one on the right, and one at the center. So I quickly took this photo. I thought this scene looks quite interesting because the position where the 3 people are. I also quite like those orange lights because it adds a bit of contrast to the bluish color in the background. And then I turned around, I saw this guy was unloading something from his truck, and I also see a yellow taxi on the right hand side. I thought the scene looks quite interesting and I quickly took this photo. But now I look at it again, I don't really like this photo. I think the pose of the person on the truck doesn't look that interesting because he was not facing me, he was facing the opposite side, so you can't see his face, and also he was not really doing anything in this photo, so that doesn't really help tell any story. I think if I wait a little bit longer and maybe wait for him to turn around and maybe do something, that would make the photo a lot more interesting. When I took this photo, it was because there are two yellow taxis on the right side, which I thought would make this photo quite interesting. But now looking at the photo again, it doesn't really work for me. I think maybe because the taxi that is closer to us, part of the taxi was blocked by that little building behind it. And I really should have moved myself one step to the left, so that little path near the center of the photo would be exactly in the middle, which creates a more symmetrical composition for this photo. I shot this photo at the intersection when I was waiting for the green light. The green t-shirt that the lady was wearing makes her stand out from the background. Just imagine if she was wearing a black t-shirt, then you can't really see her that well in the photo. So I think sometimes it's just some little details like this that would really change the photo. And then I look up and I notice the beautiful color of the sky. The sky looks beautiful. I think I shot this photo at the next intersection. I really quite like this photo. I think the pattern of the pedestrian crossing on the road matches quite well with the 7-Eleven sign. I also shot this photo with a slow shutter speed that adds a bit of motion blur, which contrasts with the person in the foreground that is waiting for the light to turn green. And I saw this building, you can see a lot of those air conditioning units hanging outside the window, and that creates a very interesting pattern. And because of the direction of the building, all those windows, especially the one on the upper floor, they got lit up a bit by the reflection of the sky. If I shot this photo half an hour earlier when the sky was still dark, then all those windows and the air conditioning units would not be quite noticeable in this photo. I do wonder if I come back to the same place maybe 15 or 20 minutes later when the sky become more bright, maybe that will make this photo looks even better. When I took this photo, I thought the photo may look quite interesting because you see people on the street talking to each other. But now looking at it, it doesn't work for me at all. Maybe because I was too far away from these two people, maybe I didn't zoom in enough, or maybe there are just too many things in the photo, so it doesn't really have the focus, it doesn't really tell the story that I want to tell. So yeah, it's not really a good photo at all. This is one of the shops on the street. A lot of the shops, they don't actually have a proper gate or door. They just use some soft covers to cover up the items in the shop. To me, this photo looks alright. The composition is not bad, I think, but at the same time, there isn't much interesting happening. There's no story and nothing too exciting happening. I think it's an alright photo, but it's lacking something to make it a good photo. And this is another photo that I shot at pretty much the same place. I think I just walk another 10 meters or so further down the street, but I turn left, so now the camera is facing the opposite side of the street. Between this photo and the last photo, I think I like this photo a lot more. The composition works better for me, and I like all those scooter bikes that are parked in the foreground, because Taiwan has a lot of scooter bikes on the street, and the scooter bikes is an important theme in some other photos that I'm going to share with you later on as well. And I walked past a laundry shop. It was really early in the morning. I think it was still just around 6 o'clock or so, but there was already a lady sitting there waiting for her laundry. So it's quite interesting. So early, she was already there. I don't really know why, but I'm always fascinated by all these laundry shops. Maybe I just love all those washing machines that are stacked on top of each other, and there are many of them. That looks very interesting to me. So every time when I walk past any laundry shop, no matter it's here in New Zealand or in another country, I always like to take some photo because they all look very different and they all look very interesting to me. So I don't know if I am the really weird person that love the look of these laundry shops, but if you feel the same, please drop a comment below, let me know so I know I'm not the only person that love the look of these laundry shops. I mentioned just before there are lots of these scooter bikes in Taiwan, so when I was waiting at another intersection, I saw a bunch of them drove past in front of me, so I captured this panning shot photo and I quite like this photo. But to be honest, I think my timing was slightly off. Right now, if you look at the street in the background and also that pedestrian crossing in the foreground, there is a bit of angle of those lines. I would much prefer if these lines are completely horizontal. I should have waited a little bit longer and wait until he is directly in front of me, so the street in the background would be just completely parallel to me. And after I shot the last photo, I suddenly saw this lady in front of me. She was there help cleaning the street, and I really liked that bright orange outfit that she was wearing and also that little orange card that she was holding. But now looking at it, I don't like this photo, and the reason is I was a bit taller than her, so if you look at this photo, you can see the camera was pointing downwards a bit. To me, I really don't like taking portrait photo from a slightly higher angle because that viewpoint is almost like you are looking at a little child. That's the only time that we would look at another person from a higher angle. So when I'm shooting weddings or events or portrait photos, I almost always keep the camera either at the eye level of the person that I'm taking photos of, or I will move the camera slightly lower to avoid pointing the camera downwards. This is a very simple photo, but I really like it. I think I just like all the lines that you can see in this photo, and it's also kind of symmetrical. If you look at the top half and the bottom half, the left and the right, they're all kind of symmetrical. I myself really like to play with this kind of composition when I'm taking photos, and there are not too many distractions in this photo as well. So yeah, I really quite like this photo. And then I walked to the other side of the street and I walked past this shop. The gate was closed and I thought it looks quite interesting because of the color of the gate, and there are lots of stickers. I don't exactly know what they are for, but there are lots of stickers stick on the gate, and I thought that looks quite interesting. But now I'm looking at this photo again. I don't know, the composition seems to be missing something. So I was looking at the other side of the street. I saw lots of those scooter bikes parked there, and I was trying to figure out how to take a photo of these bikes, and suddenly there was another scooter bike just drove past me in front of the camera, and I quickly snapped this photo. I quite like this photo. I love how we have the orange line at the bottom of the photo, kind of adding a bit of frame to the photo, and the motion blur of the scooter bike in the foreground help make this photo looks a bit more interesting. And another scooter bike photo. This time the scooter bike was just parked on the pathway and there was a guy there. I can't remember exactly what he was doing, but I thought the scene looks quite interesting, so I walked a bit closer and shot this photo. Now I look at the photo again. I think I really should have waited a little bit longer until the cars on the left hand side start moving, and then I can shoot this photo with a slower shutter speed. That way I can capture a bit of motion blur, and that can create a bit of contrast between this scooter bike that was just parked there with the cars that are moving on the street. it will also help draw the attention to that scooter bike, because then the scooter bike will be the only sharp subject in the photo. And then I crossed the street again and walked back to the other side of the street. As I was crossing the street, I looked left and I took this photo. I think this photo looks okay, and it kind of captures what the street looks like in the early morning. And then I walked past an area that looks like maybe a little park. It's quite interesting because there is a bit of contrast. We have all the scooter bikes parked on the right side and none of them on the left side. And there's the lady doing some morning exercise there. I also quite like the symmetrical composition of this photo. I shot this photo in the street called American Street. There are quite a lot of graffitis there. Most of those graffitis are more American style, but this one is more Japanese than American. And then I walked a little bit further and I saw this, I don't know what to call it. Is it a statue or is it a sculpture that is there? That looks quite interesting. It looks like either a dinosaur or Godzilla. So I think this photo looks okay, but I would definitely prefer if there are some people in this photo to help tell a little bit more story. Maybe if someone sitting on that bench in front of that statue, that would make this photo a bit more interesting. But because it was so early in the morning, I did wait there for a while. Unfortunately, I didn't see anyone at all. I saw this lady was doing some morning exercise. I really like her color matching pants, shoes, and the bag. And there's also a bit of that red color near the top half of the photo. They all work together quite well. The only thing that I don't like is I was shooting at quite a slow shutter speed. So if you look at her right arm, there is a little bit of motion blur. So I really should have either shoot this photo with a much faster shutter speed so there's no motion blur, or I could shoot this photo with a much slower shutter speed, and that way I would intentionally add more motion blur to her movement, and that may also create some interesting effect. Unfortunately, the shutter speed I used was not fast and not slow, so I got a slightly blurred photo. And then I saw some bikes parked on the street. I think it was opposite to a police station, because if you look at the opposite side of the road, there are some police cars parked there, and there are also some police scooter bikes parked there. I think I got a good composition, but at the same time I feel the photo is a bit boring. So I wait until there was a yellow, or is it orange, taxi drove past, and I captured this photo just after it entered the frame. I think that makes this photo a bit more interesting. Just like a lot of other Asia countries, there are a lot of 7-Elevens in Taiwan as well. But this one is a little bit special because this is a special Sanrio themed 7-Eleven. If you go inside the 7-Eleven, you will see a lot of Sanrio character decoration and merchandise. Even on the outside, you can already see Hello Kitty and her friends. So my original plan for this photo is I want to wait for someone to either walk inside the shop or walk out from the shop. But suddenly we have this Uber Eats scooter bike just arrive and park right in front of the front door. So it's kind of blocking that Hello Kitty statue that I was trying to capture. I didn't really like it, but I captured this photo anyway. But now looking at this photo, I think this scooter bike right in the middle adds a bit of story to this photo. And then I walked past another laundry shop. So this is a different laundry shop. It's a little bit more messy. There are more things inside this shop. There are some arcade machines on the left side, and there are also a few more washing machines there. One thing I find quite interesting is there are a lot of shops around this area that opens 24/7, but the shop doesn't have any staff or any security person looking after it, so they just basically open it even at the middle of the night and just let people visit and use the shop if they need to. And as you can see, even though I said it looks a little bit messy, but it's still very clean and it doesn't seem to have any real security issue. This is another shop that I walked past. It has a lot of those arcade claw machines that are very popular in a lot of the Asia countries. And once again, I believe this shop open 24 hours and there's no staff in the shop. Composition wise, I think it looks okay, but it's missing a bit of story. And this is the last photo I shot. I saw this lady was cleaning the street with that water hose. I probably should have walked a little bit closer so that she is a little bit bigger in this photo. I feel overall this photo looks okay. There is a bit of story, but at the same time I just feel like it's missing something. So I don't know exactly what it is, but I just know that this is not a great photo. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know if there's any photo from this video that you like, or you can also let me know if there's some photos that doesn't work for you. If you enjoyed this video, I have another similar photo walk video that I did later on this trip when I was in Osaka.